Masturbation, like many aspects of human behavior, has been examined through various lenses: scientific, moral, and philosophical. From a Stoic perspective, the focus is not on condemnation or blind indulgence, but on self-mastery, reason, and the pursuit of virtue. The Stoics were not opposed to pleasure itself, rather, they warned against being enslaved by it. They believed that true freedom lies in controlling one's desires rather than being controlled by them. Masturbation, as a natural physiological act, releases dopamine, providing relaxation and stress relief. However, Stoicism urges us to go beyond the mere biological perspective and consider the role of reason and self-discipline in our actions. The question is not whether the act is inherently good or bad, but whether it aligns with the pursuit of a virtuous and balanced life. One of the main concerns within Stoic thought is the potential for any pleasure to become a source of compulsion. The release of dopamine associated with masturbation can create a feedback loop, reinforcing the behavior and leading to excessive indulgence. This is where self-mastery becomes essential. The Stoics taught that living well requires discipline, not repression. The goal is not to suppress desires entirely, but to ensure they do not rule over us. Compulsive behavior, whether in the form of overeating, overdrinking, or overindulgence in sexual pleasure, leads to a loss of autonomy and inner peace. A person who cannot resist immediate gratification risks being a slave to their impulses, which ultimately undermines their sense of self-worth and hinders their ability to grow. Living in accordance with nature is a fundamental principle of Stoicism. While masturbation is a natural biological function, the Stoics would argue that excess in any area leads to imbalance. Just as overeating can lead to physical and mental sluggishness, excessive indulgence in pleasure can distract us from higher pursuits. The Stoic ideal is not to reject pleasure, but to experience it with moderation, ensuring that it does not interfere with our goals, relationships, or personal growth. A life ruled by impulse is a life drifting away from reason. The key question is whether we are engaging in certain behaviors because they serve a higher purpose or simply because they provide temporary escape from discomfort. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Temperance, moderation and self-control, is particularly relevant when discussing habits and desires. A temperate person does not seek to eliminate pleasure but to engage with it in a balanced and thoughtful way. They do not allow momentary gratification to override long-term well-being. When it comes to personal habits like masturbation, Stoicism encourages self-inquiry. Are we in control of this behavior, or is it controlling us? Are we using it to escape from stress, boredom, or deeper emotional struggles? By questioning our motivations, we can make conscious decisions rather than being driven by fleeting impulses. Reason and logic were central to Stoic philosophy. Human beings are endowed with the capacity to think, reflect, and choose their actions wisely. In the case of masturbation, this means assessing whether our engagement with it is aligned with our values and goals. Are we making rational choices, or are we simply reacting to urges? Are we directing our time and energy toward meaningful pursuits, or are we dissipating our focus through excessive indulgence? The Stoic approach is not about guilt or shame, but about clarity and wisdom. By developing a keen awareness of our behaviors and their consequences, we cultivate a life that is intentional and disciplined. Another key Stoic teaching is the idea of harmony, both within ourselves and with the world around us. The more we give in to unexamined desires, the more we disrupt this inner harmony. When our actions are dictated by impulse rather than reason, we create inner conflict, distancing ourselves from the tranquility that Stoicism seeks to cultivate. By practicing moderation and self-control, we restore balance. This does not mean denying pleasure altogether, but approaching it with mindfulness, ensuring that it serves rather than enslaves us. Ultimately, the Stoic perspective on masturbation is not one of strict prohibition but of conscious self-regulation. It invites us to reflect deeply on our habits, motivations, and the impact of our actions on our pursuit of virtue. True freedom, the Stoics remind us, is not found in indulging every desire, but in mastering ourselves. This mastery is a lifelong journey, one that requires vigilance, wisdom, and a commitment to living with purpose. Every choice we make, no matter how small, contributes to the overall character of our lives. By striving for balance, discipline, and self-awareness, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of a life well lived, one guided by reason, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to personal growth.